Amazon.com has pulled a book offering advice to pedophiles. The controversy, though, over the guide is far from over, with calls for a boycott of the online retail giant. CBS's Whit Johnson has more.
Philip Greaves is the name listed as author of the self-published ebook, The Pedophile's Guide to Love and Pleasure.
Kissing, fondling, that sort of thing, I don't think is that serious of a problem.
The book argues that pedophiles are misunderstood and offers advice on how to have a physical interaction with a child and supposedly not break the law.
People have this vision that a pedophile is someone who abuses children, that forces children to have sexual intercourse with them. But what they don't realize is the word pedophile itself means somebody who loves children.
It goes beyond just how to do it and how not to get caught, but it actually seems to promote this as a lifestyle and seeks to normalize it.
The book, available only online for the past 2 weeks, had sold just one copy until a few days ago, when a firestorm of controversy turned the spotlight on it. Sales are now over 3,000 copies.
Pedophilia is nothing more than sexual crimes against children, and Amazon should do the right thing and pull this book.
Along with Greaves, publisher Amazon.com has come under heavy criticism. Virtually all of the more than 100 customer reviews and 1,500 comments on Amazon's website condemn Amazon. Disgusting. Are you insane? And no excuses, Amazon. Shame on you. The company released this statement. Amazon believes it is censorship not to sell certain books simply because we or others believe the message is objectionable. However, we do support the right of every individual to make their own purchasing decisions. However, early this morning, Amazon bowed to pressure and pulled the book from their website. Whit Johnson, CBS News, Washington.
Now to a story about one of the most sensitive subjects imaginable, the abuse of children. There are some people who think attitudes and actions towards pedophiles should be adjusted. Correspondent Shannon Bream explains.
A small group of psychiatrists and other mental health professionals is advocating changes to the way the American Psychiatric Association defines pedophilia in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM, saying those they call minor attracted persons are being unfairly stigmatized.
Instead, a psychiatric term gets turned into something that's just a demonizing pejorative. That troubles me. Dr.
Fred Berlin, associate professor at Johns Hopkins University Medical School, was the keynote speaker at a conference held by the group in Baltimore, Maryland last week. He says those pushing to redefine pedophilia are simply worried that the current perception keeps adults who are attracted to children from getting help.
If there are people out there who are attracted through no fault of their own towards children, we want to try to assist them to make sure they don't act in ways that are going to cause problems for other people.
But Berlin admits there were some at the conference who suggested sexual relations between adults and children are acceptable, something he says he does not condone. Dr. Judith Reisman, author of Sexual Sabotage, attended the event.
The whole conference was slanted very clearly to the notion that pedophilia was a normal variation of human sexual conduct.
In 1990 and 1992, the Baltimore Sun reported that Berlin refused to comply with a state law, requiring him to report patients he believed were engaged in child sex abuse, instead directing them to first see a lawyer, who could then direct them to Berlin, thus protecting any conversation under the attorney-client privilege. The Maryland Attorney General deemed that illegal. Today, Berlin labeled the accusation that he would refuse to report a pedophile actively engaged in child abuse, quote, absolutely false. Skeptics say the group Berlin spoke to has one goal: to move society a step closer to accepting sexual contact between adults and children, even decriminalize it.
Absolutely. Oh, they're very clear about that. Their goal is to take all shame out of the lust for children.
When asked for comment today, the American Psychiatric Association said sexual abuse of minors is a crime and, quote, we stand firmly behind efforts to criminally prosecute those who engage in it. In Washington, Shannon Bream, Fox News.
Well, we've already found a secret memo coming out of the Justice Department. They're now going to go after 12 new perversions, things like bestiality, polygamy, having sex with little boys and making that legal, and not only that, but they have a whole list of strategies to go after the churches, the pastors, and any businesses that tries to assert their religious liberty. This is coming, and it's coming like a tidal wave.
All right, so Congress, I just want to get this straight. So you are aware of a Justice Department memo that says there will be an effort to legitimize or legalize bestiality, pedophilia, and, as you put it, perversions?
That's correct. That's correct. They're coming down with 12 new perversions. The LGBT just isn't is only the beginning. They're going to start expanding it to the other perversions.
All right. Well, you know, nothing anymore would surprise me. Absolutely nothing would surprise me.
It's about to be destroyed. All right. It says using the same tactic used by gay rights activists, pedophiles have begun to seek similar status, arguing their desire for children is a sexual orientation no different than heterosexual or homosexual. So these people already secretly have rights, because you know about this organization, NAMBLA, the North American Man and Boy Love Association. They already have a site set up where, you know, wealthy Edomites from all over the planet Earth can, you know, order little boys. They have it in certain towns where they come into town. You know, they have pedophile rings set up. You know, Sandusky, all of these big time coaches, all of these judges, all of these high lawyers, doctors, all of them, you know, and you know, the president and the government, the Congress, and we'll show you that, are involved in child pedophilia. You know, the Hollywood is a big part of it. But if you can look here, it says, "What can I do to make you happy?" And the little boy said, "I like hugs." So they're already out there. They already have rights, because if they didn't have rights, this would be trashed and these dudes would be burnt alive and put in prison. But they have a website. You can go on the website and look, you know, remembering a lover of boys, Michael Jackson. But this whole site is dedicated to that lifestyle. And now they're asking for rights. Now they want to be acknowledged as normal, okay, to where they can be out in open, all right, with a little boys. I mean, because they start as early as 1 year old. I mean, you have stories of 4-year-old, and they rape these little boys, okay, and little girls, 10-year-old little girls, you know, 4-year-old. It don't matter. They get down and dirty. They run trains on them. They do all types of sick, perverted things to these children. But now they're asking for equal rights, okay? So maybe they'll be able to marry the child, okay? They'll be able to marry a 4-year-old, okay, and live a normal life, you know, walk to the bank with the child and, you know, go to the store, and this is this person's husband or wife or whatever you want to call it. That's what's going on. It says, critics of the homosexual lifestyle, let's read this again. Using the same tactic used by gay rights activists, pedophiles have begun to seek similar status, arguing their desire for children is a sexual orientation no different than heterosexual or homosexual.
Thank you for joining us tonight. It had all the elements of a thriller crime movie. An undercover federal agent gains the trust of a dark, mysterious group, then springs the trap in a Southern California paradise. But the FBI says it was all too real, and the criminals were after sex with little boys.
I spent 26 years in the FBI, many of those years in an undercover capacity. I was the undercover FBI agent in 20 administratively approved undercover operations. I was a contract killer, a drug dealer, a white-collar criminal. I spent 3 years infiltrating NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association. NAMBLA was my most difficult case. Psychologically, it was gut-wrenching to listen to men talk about their justification on why it was proper to have sex with boys.
If we meet and try to keep a connection. I think that's really right now where it's at. It's not a cool time for us to be out and vocal about this. I can be out and vocal about being gay. I consider myself that. I consider myself also an atheist, and I'm out about that. And but those things are different. When you go around saying you like to run your hand through a boy's hair or kiss him or do other things like that, it doesn't get the same reaction.
We met in a nondescript rehearsal hall, hardly the type of place where an organization as vaunted as NAMBLA claimed to be deserved to be meeting. To begin the conference, we went around the room and everyone introduced themselves.
My name is David. My name is Sam, or Samuel Lindblad. I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and a year and a few months out of prison.
Joseph, you want to?
No one talked about abolishing age of consent laws. They came together to network with like-minded individuals. They came together to learn where they could go to have sex with little boys.
I'm Todd, divorced dentist from Dallas.
I'm Steve, I'm from Pittsburgh.
When I first found out about this organization, the Boy Scouts,
I'd heard about NAMBLA maybe over 20 years ago, really.
Over the years, I've been a member of the New York chapter, the Los Angeles chapter, and the San Francisco chapter.
During my 3-year infiltration of NAMBLA, I corresponded with about 165 members of the organization, all of whom were in prison. Some I sent Christmas cards, some I corresponded as a pen pal.
I have been active in the Christmas card, the pen pal program. And
their letters were graphic. Many described in rich detail what they did to little boys. This organization was hiding behind the First Amendment. A.W. Tozer said that the only book that should ever be written is one that is forced out by inward pressure. I spent 3 years infiltrating NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association. After that investigation, that was the book that was forced out of me. I wanted to alert the world to this organization that preys upon our sons.